for joining me tonight, or in your morning here, my evening here, to for me to tell you a little bit about our new solar products which have been coming out. Today I'm going to talk to you about our S20, S40 and S100 solar energizers. So who am I? So my name is Brian Rose and I'm the product managers for Energizers in Hamilton, New Zealand here for Gallagher Group. So I look after the whole range of Energizers. So during the webinar, you'll see on your screen there, you've got the opportunity to ask some questions. If you do have any questions, go ahead and type them in this area down the bottom here, and I'll answer them at the end. I won't stop during the webinar, but at the end I'll go through and hopefully we'll have some time to get through them. So please enter them in there as you think of them though, and I'll answer them at the end. So in this webinar, we're going to go through a few things. First off, we're going to look at a little bit of the background of the project, what sort of drove it, why we did S20, S40 and S100 products. I'll talk about the products in the range, so give you some specifications of the S20, S40 and S100. Then go over some use cases of how I think it would be used. And there will actually be a poll as well at the end, which I'll send out to you, and I'm interested to learn from you how you think the product could be used in the market. And then lastly, we've got some time there to go through some questions of yours that hopefully I can help you out with. So we'll get on with it. So a bit of background. So you'd say, well, why did we do this project? Why did we bring these products out? We did have an S20 and S50 and S100, S20, S50 and B100 battery products in the market. But we knew we could do something better. We could deliver a better product for our customers and also continue on the development from our S10 and how well that had gone in the market. As well as that, there'd been some advances in technology over the last few years, and primarily that was around solar panel technology. We had used in our older solar products, including the 20 and 50, what was known as an amorphous solar technology. And it was effective, but it was to get the power that we needed to charge our batteries, it was quite large and heavy. So over time, with solar being such a popular technology and becoming more readily available and commercialized, the monocrystalline technology has become more readily available for commercial applications. That has allowed us to use a smaller, lighter and more efficient product. So when we looked at what we've done with S10 and looked at S20 and S50 and B100 as well, we realized there really was an opportunity for us to deliver more power into a smaller package, which would give us a much more portable and user-friendly product for portable and even semi-permanent and permanent applications in the S100 type case. So when we look at what was important for this product when we started out, we kind of look at the case and the design and how do we make this product robust? How do we ensure that it's going to be fit for purpose in a farm environment and stand up to the rigors of being used in rough terrain and being able to be dropped on the ground and withstand all types of weather conditions. How do we ensure the product is reliable as well? We don't want to have any issues where the product's got faults, it's having to come out to be in service. So we have to put these products through a very rigorous, if you like, testing process, which goes all the way back to how we make it and how we put it together. Where's this mouse pointer working? Where's the PCB going to sit in the design? How's the solar panel going to mount and stay in place? How are we going to make the switch mechanism work? And how are we going to make the plastic and overall design of the product to be that robust as we want it? Then we have to think about the performance. This being a battery product, how do we make sure it's going to last the season, if you like, outside and not go flat and have an instance where you've got your animals getting out and not being contained as you want them to. We need to be able to allow for days when there may not be much sunlight happening at all. So how do we make sure we've got enough backup, enough time for that Energizer to keep ticking and keep working and controlling those animals? I have to think about the manufacturing side of things. How are we going to manufacture this product so that we can make it the same every time? What resources and equipment do we have available to us? And do we need to look further and get new technology into our production process as well to be able to manufacture these products? So along that line, one of the key things we looked at was how we make these products waterproof. So that fits into the robustness, the reliability, and the whole product assembly, how we put it together. So that picture on the right hand side there is an example of how we used to manufacture some of these products for outdoor use, and they were done in either a dipped or a painted process. So we had a waterproof coating, a conformal coating material, which we had to, if you like, paint onto the board or dip the product into. And that process would set off fumes, and it wasn't the most user-friendly environment, and also it was very time-consuming and expensive. So we looked at options, and I will show you a video later on of a process that we invested in. So I'll leave that for now, but I will touch on that more further. And it's very important for these products and how we, put a lot of effort into making sure these are going to be reliable and last in the market. So I talked a little bit about the battery side of things and how we ensure that the battery is going to last. So I've got two lines on this graph. Now the red line represents, if you like, an example of sort of other solar products and where we may have even been ourselves in the past, where once the product comes through into winter, we strike a period where the battery is getting really low, and if things don't go right, that battery is going to go flat and that Energizer could stop working. So whereas now we've got some smart software running in the devices, and they are managing, that software is managing that battery. It's looking at how much power is coming in through the solar panel, what the battery voltage is, and we'll even adjust the output power or stored energy of the device and the pulse interval. This is in the S40 and S100. In the S20 we only drop down a little bit, and we do vary the pulse interval as well. So all this means that this product is going to be more able to last the whole winter and the whole year without having any periods where the Energizer is not operating. So I touched on manufacturing. So one of the key points of our whole solar range, which includes the 20, the 40 and 100, is looking at the technology that we use in production to ensure that our product is made the same way every single time. We want to take out any variation from that process. So the first picture we have here is our, if you like, a SMT, which is our automatic component placement machine. All these parts on the board that are surface mount, so there's no legs or joints going through the PCB to the underside, is the machine places all those parts automatically, and then they go through a reflow oven where they're soldered in place. Now, being as the Energizers have a lot of high power components, there's certain components which aren't able to be put through this surface mount process. So we need to use through-hole technology still. So those parts are inserted through these little holes here in the board, which have copper pads, and then we've got what's known as a selective soldering machine, which can individually come out and we'll put a blob of solder onto that joint and then move on to the next one and so forth. So what we can do, we can actually program into this machine exactly which solder points to solder, and then maybe some that we don't want to touch or areas which we don't want solder to get onto. So we can intentionally avoid those areas from having any solder touch them. And then this last photo here on the end is the selective coating machine. So this will allow someone to the selective siding to put the coating where we want it. So we don't just spray it everywhere, which could be an issue if it gets inside connectors or anywhere else we don't want it. It has nozzles which goes along and actually applies the coating exactly where we want it. And then once that coating's been applied, the board will go along through a conveyor belt, and it can be rotated and flipped up the other way and brought back into the machine to do both sides of the board. So we're covering all areas of the board to make sure we have a coherent layering of the coating. Once the coating's on there, that goes through a UV cure through an oven. And that coating sets very, very hard. It's almost, to put your fingernail through it, it's not really possible at all. So any moisture that comes into contact with the board will just roll off, and it does a great job at keeping these boards and these products water resistant. So it's important, as I said, that these products are robust, and the testing regime that we go through is very, very thorough with all these products that we make. So the panel, if you like, a solar panel on a solar product, would be one area we think may be vulnerable because it is glass, So you'd think that, you know, if it's dropped or something's dropped on it, it could shatter and it could break, which is true. So we go through a lot of work to ensure that these panels are going to be robust and withstand what they need to. So that picture up here is an example of some of the testing that we do. So that there is a 0.5 kg steel ball, and this tube is 1 meter long. What we do is we do drop tests of this steel ball through this tube into the middle of the solar panel. And we want to make sure that that product is robust. And even beyond that, with the S100, we did that test from a height of 2 meters. So that 0.5 kg steel ball dropped from 2 meters into the middle of an S100 solar panel. So, you know, that is a very, very harsh test. And if you were to take your cell phone or take your laptop and do that test, I don't think the results would be that nice. So the other part of if you like, our testing regime is we employ a little bit of what we call HALT testing, which is an industry standard test method. Stands for highly accelerated life testing. And what we're looking at there is testing to the extremes of temperature, both hot and cold, and then combining that with vibration. And that's a proven method with 2 types of stimulus to bring out, you know, what would be infant mortality or early signs of what will be the weak links in the product. So the way we apply that is we test the product in a chamber, a chamber capable of rapid heating and rapid cooling, and we look for both the absolute minimum and absolute maximum operating specifications of that product. We find where it breaks, we decide whether that's acceptable, and then we improve if we need to. And once we have those limits, we combine that with vibration. We run it through quite a rigorous cycle of rapidly heating and rapidly cooling and vibrating the product to find any failures at all. So I've actually got a little video which I'll run through now, which will show you examples of some of that drop testing of the product, or physically dropping the product, and some of this HALT testing and some of the conformal coating, selective coating that I talked about. So I'll just run through that now. So that's the selective coating going onto the boards. You see the hard lacquer that's going on. You can see the product even morphing out of shape from the heating and cooling, but at the end you'll see that product is still working. So it's just a very quick snapshot. So you'll notice that testing was done with an S10 in that video, but we, as I say, we do that with all our products. So that's an S100, which has been through that exact process. So you can see how it's all warped and out of shape. I can't even actually turn the switch anymore, and the battery box at the back's all folded in. But if I wanted to, and I could just connect that up now to the battery and it would still go. We remove the batteries when we test because the batteries aren't gonna withstand that type of treatment. But we do that to all these Energizers. So be it the 20, the 40, the 100, the S10, we've pulled our products through this rigorous test to make sure that we're happy and comfortable with the reliability and the robustness of the product. So one more point on the manufacturing side of things. So I showed you the examples of how we put the product together, and the other side of that is the testing of the product. So when these products are made, when the boards are first made through those machines, they go on to what's known as a soak test. So each product is tested running in either short circuit or open circuit load, whichever is harshest for that product, for a 24-hour or overnight, which could be up to 24-hour period, to stress those components and find any potential weak points in that product before it goes out. So it's tested, let's say, at that PCB level, and then again, once it's assembled into that plastic, we actually test it again. So we're just making sure that that product is 100% ready to go out into the market. Sorry. So products, I'll tell you a little bit about the product. So our S20 here, so it's a 0.2 joule stored solar energizer. So that's got a little 1.5 watt solar panel there, and in the back we've got a 6 volt 4 amp hour battery. So performance wise, pretty similar to the B20. If you like feature wise, we've got a light on the side here for the battery indication. So if the battery goes flat, that will flash red. As I said earlier, the pulse interval will slow down at night. The idea of that being the animals are generally in a, if you like, what am I trying to say, farm animals and stuff who are going to be doing less active at night, so we allow the pulse interval to slow down. Mounting wise, we've got the universal mount capability inside here, so you can mount that to a T-post or Y-post, and you can spin that around whatever direction you need to face the sun. And the other thing is the switch. So we've got a magnetic switch for the product, so there's no hole through the product into the electronics in the enclosure. It's actually a magnet in here, so it's sealed from the outside world. Mounting wise, on this one as well, we do supply with the post mount clip for the ring top post. So I've got one here which I did earlier. So you clip it onto the ring top post, and then the product can easily slide in there and mount on the ring top post. So you just stab your ring top into the ground, connect to earth and connect to the fence, and your product's ready to go. So similarly, the S40, slightly larger product. So we've got 0.4 joule stored, still a 6 volt battery, but a larger 6 volt battery, so we're at a 10 amp hour battery. Couple other different features on the dial here. We can rotate the switch now around to sort of beyond off, and that's what we call battery check mode. So you would have seen that goes green, which tells me it's good, and if it's not, then it will go red. When you turn the unit on, we've got two modes. So we've got what we call a wildlife exclusion mode and an animal inclusion mode. So the animal inclusion is for your farm stock and animals where you want to keep them in during the day and keep them contained, if you like. So the pulse interval will stay constant during the day, and at night it will reduce. Whereas the animal exclusion, it will go continuously at the faster pulse interval. So the battery management, which I talked about earlier, so that will allow these products to run for 3 weeks. If there was no sun at all, it will still go. So the pulse interval will slow and the energy will reduce, but the unit will effectively keep running for that 3-week period. So we do just give you the maximum ability to contain your animals or exclude those animals that you want to keep excluded at all times. So the S100, very similar to the S40, except bigger. So we go up to a 1 joule, which really is a serious piece of equipment. So you're really now moving from a solely portable type application to a more permanent or semi-permanent application. So where maybe in the past people have used B100s in solar, the S100 is a really good alternative to that. It's a lot lighter to carry. It's got the same amount of energy. It's simpler to use as well. So it's really a great alternative that people can pick up and run with. So same modes as well that I talked about before with the inclusion and exclusion zone. Same mount capability with the universal mount. The S40 and S100 though are too large for the post mount. I should mention that. Another difference between the 40 and 100 though is the 100 is using a 12 volt battery rather than a 6 volt. That's because we needed more power from the S100, so more battery capacity, so we moved to a 12 volt battery for that product. So when we look at the products side by side, so we've got an S20 with 0.2 joules and then up to the S40 at 0.4 and S100 at 1. Output energy going from 0.14, 0.26 and 0.74. Likewise the voltage going to 7 to 8 to just over 9 kV, and the batteries I mentioned there. So really a good spread across the range depending on what application you're trying to meet. Now worth noting as well on the warranty, so 2 years out of box, but if you do register you can get up to 7 years warranty on these products. So yeah, great opportunity there. So installation wise, I talked a little bit about the S20 and installing on the post mount here and just clipping it on. But otherwise these products can be mounted and installed, as you can just screw them, use this S20 for example, put a screw onto the post through here for it to slide down to, and then there's some holes along the top edge to mount the top to, so you can really secure it in place like that. So you can do the same with the S40, and then as I mentioned you've got the option of Y posts and T posts as shown in the photos there to set the units up. So I guess now is how can I use these products? What type of applications are they suitable for? And how do I get the best out of them? So these are some applications I've come up with and think, but at the end of the poll I'd be interested to see what your thoughts are and how they could be used. So one thing I think is temporary horse containment, strip grazing, and just general lifestyle farmer use around homes, and it may be beehives or gardens or whatever it might be. They're just a really versatile product for that type of small application, and I think probably the S20 is well suited to that. Other ideas, waterway fencing. So you may have an area that needs to be fenced off, so we can mount like an S40 in this case, or an S100 sorry in this case, and a more permanent type application. So that post there is being mounted to this wooden post. The Energizer is being sat on top and just connect to the fence and the ground connection down there. So maybe that this is used for a period of time, and then the farmer decides actually I now need this unit to be used somewhere else. So they can easily unclip that Energizer and take it away somewhere else and use it. So it's that flexibility. And the other application I've got here is sheep netting. So I think more common application for the V100s and above is to set these up in remote areas and fence off a plot of, if you like, open area with netting to contain the horses, sheep, goats, etc. So just covering the whole range now and just looking at what we have to offer. I mean, looking at that, we do really have, I think, the world's best solar range out there. If you like, from the small S10 all the way up to the larger S100, we've got that range covered for multiple applications. The batteries are well managed with all these products. You're going to get that year-round usage. And comparing that with other products on the market, I don't think you can beat what we have to offer. So just to reiterate on some of the key features of this range and of these solar products is really the portability. These products, as I've shown, are lightweight and simple to use and easy to carry. There's just no reason why you just can't pick it up and use it in one place and then move it to the next place. They're just a great product to use. They're easy to install, be it the post mount on the smaller product or T-post, Y-post, it's all there. We've got the range for controlling animals, be it from a 0.1 joule S10 to the 0.2 and to 0.4 and to the 1 joule. It's all there. We can control animals and fence scenarios all the way up to, we're saying, 10 kilometres. Products are tough and robust. They can withstand the rigours that they need to on the farm environment or wherever you might use them. The battery management side of things, it's built into the product, it's inherent there. They're going to last the time that they need to, even if the sun decides it's not going to really be beaten down on the solar panels. It's still going to have enough there to make sure you're maintaining your animals all the time. So really just the last area here is where to in the future with solar products. So solar is something that's a key area for us, and we're always looking at the technology and what's available that we may be able to use in the future to make our products better again. We feel we are the market leaders and we want to stay that way, so we're always looking for new opportunities in the solar realm. So that's really what I had at the moment in there, so I'm open to take any questions that anyone will have at this point, so please write them through and I'll answer them. Got one question here. How do you know if there's enough power on the fence? So a good question. So one way with the S40 and S100 is when you've got it on and your won't get one here. So our fence LED will be ticking and flashing green. So if, for example, you connect to your fence and that's all working fine, and then a tree branch falls down or one of your wires comes into contact with one of your posts, so there's now a much larger load on the Energizer, that LED will change to flash red once the voltage falls below a good point. So it's almost like having a fence tester connected to the fence all the time. So it's a good way when you're walking past your Energizer, just have a look at that LED. If it's green, you know it's going good. If you see it as red, then hey, it's an idea that something's not quite working as you expected. A few more questions here. So is there a way for faster recharge of battery if it's completely low? So what we recommend there, if you know your battery is completely flat, the best thing to really do is to turn it off and leave it in the sun for a period of time to recharge. That way the Energizer is not taking current and power away from the battery. It gives the battery the optimum amount of time to recover as quick as it possibly can. To be honest, it may take 1 or 2 days to come up to the maximum level again. What else we got there? Best way to store during the winter. So with this battery technology, you want to stop the batteries from effectively over discharging. So that's them becoming very, very low. So the best way to store them is to have them charge and then to put them away for the winter. This just gives them the best opportunity, because when they are sitting there, they are going to self-discharge. But by having them charged, that'll stop that self-discharge going to a dangerously low point. So we recommend having some charge in the batteries before they are put away for the winter. So same question then about the battery's flat, how long does it take to charge? So sort of a couple of days to make sure it's getting up to that optimum level to put it back out on the fence. As I said, the Energizer will manage the battery, so if it is low, it will adjust the pulse interval and the energy to work with it the best it can to make sure it's not going to take that battery drastically low. But if you do want it to be performing at its optimum, then it's best to leave it off outside for a couple of days to charge fully up. Question: how many nettings can be run on S100? So an S100, we're saying up to 8 nettings can be run on that. You guys have done a little bit of testing and verified that seems to be a good fit with that product. Question: does the battery outlive the device? So the battery, we suspect, if it's well maintained and managed, you should get up to 5 years out of the battery. But if it's had a hard life, whereas it's spent a lot of time being flat, or it's been put away when it's been discharged to a certain point, then that all will affect the life cycle of the battery. So ultimately, we expect the Energizer will last longer than the battery, and you will need to have the battery replaced at some point in the life of the product. May I charge only the battery, like you say, about the winter, and how it's possible? So I think if I understand that question, to only charge the battery, if you turn the Energizer off, then all that solar panel is just going into the battery. I hopefully I've answered the question there. I may have misunderstood otherwise. So question, how heavy is the S100 versus the B100? If you like, the B100 could weigh, depending on the battery size, up to 20 kilos, or even more if you use a larger battery, especially a large lead acid battery. Now this here is very, very light in comparison. I don't know what that actually is, to be completely honest off the top of my head, but it's probably only about 3 or 4 kilos of weight in here. So it's a significant reduction compared to what the B100 would have been if you were carrying that with a beet lead acid battery in there. So to maintain the performance of the solar panel, so something key to keep in mind when you're going to install this, have a think about where the sun comes up and goes down, and make sure there's no shading that's going to affect the product. Or if you are going to put it close to the ground, if there's grass growth that comes up and covers some of the panel, that's going to have a dramatic effect on the efficiency, if you like, of that solar panel. The grass is going to block some of those solar cells, and it's going to reduce the current that's able to get into charge of the battery. So I'd say just to make sure you're going to get the optimum of the product, have a good think about how the sun's going to come through, if it's going to be shaded or anything like that. Now another aspect of that, if you do see this getting quite dirty, or even if something's come in contact with this and is sort of, if it's dirt or mud, let's say dirt or mud gets splattered onto the solar panel, then that's going to affect how much current it can get into the battery. So if you notice that, I'd recommend just getting a white damp cloth and just cleaning that off. And that'll just help that stay in its optimum performance. So the 7-year warranty does not cover the battery. The battery's under a separate warranty, which generally is 3 months after the date of purchase. So it's a much reduced warranty, and that's because we don't have control over how that battery is going to be handled and used. So that's how that one works. Protection against theft. So the best option for that is to look at attaching something through the handle. So whether it's a piece of meshed wire that you can then lock onto something so that it's able to be locked away. It's interesting feedback though, we have taken that on board with these products, that it's becoming an issue, the theft side of things. So it's something that we are thinking for future products, how we better integrate. But at the moment for this product, the best that can be done is to attach something through the handle to attach it to something that's fixed in location. Another question, sir, are there not any kind of adapter for charging these batteries for the solar units, and the only way is by the solar panel in off mode? So with the Energizer running, the solar panel is going to be charging the battery that's in here. So it's not just an off mode where the battery's charged. What I mean by that is, to get it to charge faster, you can turn it off. That way more of that solar current is going into the battery rather than running the device as well. If you really wanted to charge any faster than that, the battery is removable and replaceable. If you had a said lead acid battery that was suitable for a 12-volt battery, for these you could charge, or vice versa, you needed a specific 6-volt charger for those. You could take it out and charge it separately. But as far as in product itself, then it's reliant on the solar panel. So we recommend charging in unit via the solar panel. All right, I think that's about it. I think unless there's any last questions from anybody. Oh, a couple more yet. All right, that looks like that might be it actually. I think I'll end it there. So thank you everybody for their time, and I hope you enjoyed the webinar. And actually one more slide, sorry. So that was our solar energizers webinar. So we do have 2 more webinars to come this year. We've got one on our MB1000 energizer, and also one later on about energizer basics and some hints and yeah, options there for you to try out. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. When you shut out of the webinar, you will see the poll question around the use cases of the S40 and S100. So I would be interested in your feedback on those. All right. Thank you very much for everybody's time.